Welcome to our fourth episode of All My Friends with ADHD. We are here in Sao Paulo. As our guests, we have my two very dear friends. We have Isa Luz, who is an environmental activist, a designer, and who works for nonprofit organizations. And we have Fer Ligabue, who is an amazing documentary filmmaker and environmental activist. So today we're going to talk about ADHD. I think you're also special because you are a couple with ADHD who live together with ADHD.
All my friends have ADHD. All my friends have ADHD. All my friends have ADHD. All my friends have ADHD.
You want to start by just introducing yourself?
Born and raised in a city called Santos. Santos is a coastal, very beautiful city in São Paulo. And I think I was born and raised in a very, restrictive way. So I think that really compelled me to really be as fighting for freedom, fighting for what I was really meant to be. Like my spirit was very locked. So I think this is how I can really explain how and why I work with the things that I work now. So as you said, I think I'm an environmental activist, but also in all discriminations and all, I fight against human enlockment and oppression. Yes. So I don't have. Yeah. I was just thinking about because I don't like people in São Paulo. I'm from Santos, so people in São Paulo are very towards professionals, like what you are, who you work what,
right.
Yeah. So I try as much as I can not to introduce myself with what I work with, but what I feel like. So I feel like I'm always will work towards freedom in some way. I love to cook. I love to travel. And I love animals. I have 2 cats. And I think that's it.
Or how would you introduce yourself?
I think the first thing is that I'm not an English person, that I speak Portuguese. So it's not my first language. It's hard for me to speak in English, but I'll try my best. Environmental activist, and I use filmmaking as my language to tell and to express myself about the injustice. It's how you say in English, that I feel a lot injustice, not only in Brazil, but a lot in Brazil, all over the world, because everything's connected. And my history, I came from a family that owns a newspaper. And so in my family, since I'm a very young, we always discuss a lot of politics and things that happens on my city, that is a very small city in Brazil. And so I was always compelled to look at my surrounding and see how things are not only bad, but things that happens that are not okay. And then I wish we could make better. So I studied cinema, and I went to make documentary when and yeah, that's me.
Yeah. And first of all, thank you so much to you both for doing this in English. I think it's very brave to do a podcast in another language. So thank you so much. I think it's important to hear voices from different cultures about this, about ADHD, right? Especially since our environment has so much impact on who we are and how we present ourselves and how we think. And it's interesting to see how that might be different across cultures. So Isa, when did you first realize that you had ADHD?
Oh, someone told me. I was very pissed.
Wait, when was this?
I don't know. It's just here in Brazil, like realizing and very like realizing that someone has
ADHD. You can say it in Portuguese. It's TDAH.
TDAH.
In Portuguese, we say TDAH.
Yeah.
TDAH.
It's
ADHD.
TDAH in Portuguese, right?
Yes.
TDAH.
Yes.
Okay, so someone told you had TDAH.
Someone told me, my friend who studied with me for a long, long time, since school. We met when we were like 11. So she really participated with like all throughout school and high school. And she told me, oh, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And I was like, oh, really? She was like, yeah, I think you should look at it.
When was this?
I think it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got really pissed out. I was like, don't tell me what I have. Don't tell me what. Because it's also like, to me, it's been really, I think it's really strange how, I think almost everyone has it, if you think about it, like, so, but I was pissed off because just like Fer says, oh, I have it, and I was diagnosed. I was like, fuck off. I was the one who was struggling at school. You were having good grades. Yeah. You went to a good university. I wasn't able to do it. So I think it pissed me off because this friend she was actually very good at school and I was very bad. So I was like, oh, you have it, then I have it. Okay. So
it's interesting that your reaction surrounding ADHD is a lot of anger.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's because I don't know really how people are getting diagnosed. So I'm like,
skeptical.
Why? Yes, I'm very skeptical, and like this society is so crazy. And I think as I was saying, as I was introducing myself, I think I was always a free spirit. I was always like very hard to me. And I'm also Sagittarius, so. So, like patterns, like schools and rules, to me, they're very hard to like. I don't accept them, and I think my body actually responded to it in a way like, oh, you're not. So I was very
responded to being told that you were ADHD? Yeah. Interesting.
Like my teachers at school, they were all constantly like, oh, you're so good. Because I was always very, I always had like an emotional level intelligence very high. Mm-hmm. I always noticed everything that was going on, but I wasn't good at math. I wasn't good at like really getting information. If you say it to me once, if it doesn't make sense, I'm like, okay, never mind. I don't need to know it. And I think that's how my body really responded to it. So I was at school, and my teacher was like teaching some math or something like that, and I was like, I didn't understand. So I started to draw. I was drawing all the time. And I used to do like those amazing draws, and actually my teacher went to, oh, you're not good at physics, but you're good at drawing. Always felt really bad. I think I got angry because I was always told that I was different. Yeah You're different.
So you're being told, it was one more way, you were being told you were different.
Yeah exactly.
Yeah, and you're like, stop it.
I'm just realizing this now, but yeah, it's good.
Life therapy, it's all good. But so when you said like that's the way your body responded, like what do you mean by that? Your body responded to what, and what do you mean by your body? You know?
I think my body responded in a way like,
you mean to school, like
to school and to how society works. It was really like, I remember when I was like asking my father, he was going to like leaving me at school, I think dropping me at school, and I was like, why do I have to go to school? And he said, so you are not dumb. And I thought it was like that response didn't do anything for me because like I know that I'm not dumb, but I know that I like school. I know I love history. I love learning about things like geography. But I didn't understand why I needed to learn in that way things that I didn't want to learn and didn't make any sense to me. And they weren't like teachers in school. They weren't like making an effort to really like, oh, this is important because of it was just like my father, so you're not dumb. So that response didn't make it to me like
Yeah.
okay,
Do you think you have ADHD now?
I don't know. I don't trust. I'm skeptical, just
Right.
like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
it seems there's a part of you that is open to the idea, right? You think there's some truth to it?
No, I would like. I started when my friend told me that. I was very angry. Like, and when Fer actually she was diagnosed, she was like, "Oh, I have." I'm like,
One
I
more.
didn't say, yeah. Oh, one
Yeah.
more. And I was like, I don't need to get diagnosed. I know that I have something. I know that I am different. But I think the problem for me is really about the label.
Yeah.
The label really gets to me because if I investigate, I might have like autism in a certain way. I have some things that so I'm like,
Yeah.
will I have like all my life just looking for everything that I'm wrong? Like, I'm kind of sick to it because I was always told that I was wrong. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm moving in the opposite way of that. Like, really, I don't know, respecting myself.
Celebrating yourself.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that makes sense. So you first had the idea 4 years ago. So you're how old are you now?
I'm 35.
35. So you found out when you were about 30, 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you were told.
Yeah, I was so, and I think this is also important because in my work, I think for some people to say, "Oh, I have ADHD," is someone like, "Oh." To me, I think the people would probably use it. Oh, now I
Against you.
understand.
Right.
I get it now.
Right. Yeah. You just don't want
I don't want the
that
stigma.
prejudice, the
Yeah.
stigma. Yeah.
I don't want the stigma.
Or when did you find out?
I think it was like some years ago. My therapist told me that I may have. There was like years before that a psychiatrist told me that I would have some level of autism too. I think things were being studied at that point, and they didn't know how to make difference from things. But then I used to have like seizures. So I always going to neurologist to make some tests on my brain, and I was talking about with my doctor about the difficulties that I have to pay attention and some things that I have to do to stay in a place where I'm not understanding, or I have to focus and I have to always be moving things. And I never had difficult on the school, as Isa said. I used to be like good in school, but things were just difficult since I was very young. So I started to make some, I don't know how to say, talks, manic things with
Ticks.
ticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since I was young. And people didn't understand, like my family didn't understand how to deal with this. I'm from a very small city, and it's people don't have so many conscious, and
Not aware.
yeah, they are not aware. So I was treated by depression and anxiety, and they wanted to give me some drugs to anxiety, but I think it was like difficult for me. When I got the diagnosis 2 years ago, everything makes more sense. So I went to this public hospital because, as Isa, I'm a little skeptical too. So I didn't want to go to a private doctor that says what I want. I pay them and they give me some drugs. I went to do in a place that do serious research about, and I started to make part of this research, public research for this, and it was
So you were part of a study.
yes, part of study, and they run a lot of tests on me. It was fun because I felt like I was a little rat.
Yeah, a lab rat.
Rat. And I had to answer a lot of things and draw things and connect some points. And for me, I felt fun. But then this came that the test saying that I had ADHD. I started to learn about how to deal with my therapy in the time too. And there was some kinds of way to treat this. But before, because it was so big for me, it made so bad for me for a long period of my life. I had to first treat my depression and anxiety and the tics. So after this, I could treat my TDAH.
Yeah.
So for 1 year, I started to take some medicine for this, and it helped me a lot. Anxiety. But after I got better, I never went to the point that to take medicine for the TDAH. So I never treat really the TDAH, and I don't know how I am without my difficulties. So I think I have some time to learn more, and I don't know what would be myself without the TDAH.
Yeah, and you're 38 and you were diagnosed 2 years ago. So we're all diagnosed in our 30s, basically. I was diagnosed, I guess, for the first time, maybe about 30, 31, and I didn't get on medicine until 2-3 years ago. But it is strange, right? Because once you spend your whole life feeling a certain way, or just knowing that things might be harder for you in some ways than other people, or maybe it seems like things are easier for other people in some ways, right? And then you get this diagnosis, and then you look back on your life. At least for me, that was like that, right? And I'm like looking back and I'm like, oh,
Yes.
oh, like for me in school, at high school and at university, I was always voted like in my clubs, like head in the clouds. I had friends who called me space cadet. Like it was just, it was just, the signs are so obvious when you look back, and everyone else noticed too, but we just didn't know what it was, right? So when you, like for you, I know you don't necessarily like want to look back, it seems like, right? But like, have things made more sense to you? I mean, the thing about labels, I guess for me, they're a tool, right? On one hand, you don't want to be put in a box. On the other hand, it's a tool. Now you can like have this framework to maybe understand yourself better. For me, that's how it was. What about for you? Do you think being open to the idea that you might have it has changed the way that you saw yourself in your life?
I think I was I actually felt pity of myself when I was younger. It was very because it was very cruel. As I was saying, my family wasn't accepting the way that I was. So, and I don't know how, because my father was very strict to me. So every time that I went to get my grades, my father actually got my grades with his knickers beside him, because to beat me up because I was getting bad grades. So I don't know how it started, because I always felt dumb, but I don't know if I felt dumb because I was really not learning, or if because someone was telling me that I was dumb. You know what I mean? So to me, it's really hard, because it's a part of my childhood that I don't really want to. I want to hold myself and say that I'm okay, that I'm intelligent, not the opposite of it. So I think that's I don't know. My aunt, actually, she worked in education in my hometown, and she always told me, You were put in school too young. You were put in school too young. That's why you were never able to be closer, and that's why you always had bad grades. I think that's a way of viewing it, but I don't know if that's the real issue. I think the issue is that I wasn't celebrated when I was good, but I was treated really bad when I was not doing what I was supposed to do. I understood why I became a rebel. I was like, I understand. You know, I think it was the way that I really protected myself. Like, fuck it, I don't mind. I don't mind what you all want from me. So I think to me, like, remember is to remember a trauma. Very hard, but also I understood I understood a lot. I think it would have been different if it was now. Like if I was going to school now, I don't know. Like if I would have like a better relationship with my father, if my father would be more understanding. But I think that maybe like school would be more able to have a relationship to me, like make me feel more comfortable. I don't
Support
know.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
support me. When I look back, that's the way I think. But I was also like, thank goodness there were some things that I was good and I was praised to. Like my father always said, "Oh, you're very good at language," because I learned English alone by myself. It's like, oh, I wish, because it was his dream that I spoke that I speak English. So I was like, oh, you're very good. So I was praised for some things, but like brutally blamed for everything that I wasn't good at.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Difícil, tough.
Yeah, it is tough, right? Looking back, there's so much trauma involved with like how you're treated and how your internal dialogue and how you don't meet expectations. And when you're a kid, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
you have one job to go to school, basically. And if you're not good at it, what about you for looking back on your life?
Yeah, I think I wish my parents had more understanding about how to deal through with the difficulties that we have, because things could be way more easier and way less difficult. Since I developed some weird ways to deal with my tics, nobody understand how to deal with me. And I used to think like, oh, I'm a monster. I can't control myself. And this made me very bad, like issues of my self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And could have been way more easy if they had more ways to tools
Knowledge.
Yeah.
to information, and this could have help with a lot better. So when I got the diagnosis, my therapy was very good because I could heal some traumas and forgive myself, forgive my parents too after a while, and make more peace with the way that I work now. So my body works like this. How can I use this as a good point in my life? How can I understand? So if I'm not, I can't focus on the morning and then only at night. How can I use my morning in a good way so I don't stay so anxious that I'm not working. So I started to make some changes in my life to adapt to the way that I know that I am now. Because before the diagnosis, I was trying to be normal, and it didn't work for me. It was very hard. So I get more anxious, more depressed, and things got worse. So now that I understand, I try to figure with its podcasts and how can I deal with the way I am. And I'm now it's not that bad. When I got the diagnosis, so I'm bad. I'm not gonna. I'll never have a good life or be intelligent or productive as everybody that I think has a normal life. But now that's why I dumped the treatment, and I don't want to
Yeah.
to use the medicine for a while, because I think now I'm more in peace with this idea. Okay, it's me. I can be like this. I still have a work that I can use this as a powerful for
A
me.
superpower.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
can be very focused on things that I like. So let's try to use this as a power for me.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that I've realized, or because looking back, you can think a lot of sad things, right? Like, why did no one catch it? Why did I keep trying to make myself be a certain way that I was not naturally? You know, why didn't people support me more? Something that a friend said to me was when I got diagnosed, she was like, wow, like, what resilience, you know, like, what strength that we all had to find within ourselves to cope with it, right? And I think, of course, everyone's different. Like you, it sounds like you kind of cope with like by like fighting back, right? Which I think is sort of you, right? Like you're all about resistance and rebelling and fighting against the man. And some of us like maybe it becomes more like internal, right? Where it's just like you fighting yourself in your head. But yeah, the good side, one way to see it is that you become so resilient. Do you see yourself that way at all? Do you ever look back and you're like, wow, the things that I dealt with?
Oh, totally. And then just going through everything that I went through in a certain way, I think it's also important, like in Brazil, to be diagnosed is a privilege. You're not like being bad at school. Majority of people are bad at school. Like schools are shitty in Brazil. Like public schools are shitty. Like the system is very shitty. So I mean, to me, it's really, I always felt like at certain point, I was really happy that I was rebellious, that I was like fighting back. And I understood as a method, you know, how to cope and how to be resilient. And now I try, yeah, when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, poor girl. I was like, poor girl. And actually, when I met Fer, it was very interesting. Fer is my first relationship that I have with someone that is non-binary, but also seen. But it was raised as a woman. So I was like, when I met her and we were talking about our childhood, I was like, oh, I wanted to hug Fer when she was a child so much. And I wish I could just be open to people. And I think my resilience now it became like a fight to be understanding and caring for people. Like in my work now, I'm a leader, and sometimes when I talk to people, because I talk a lot, and I'm actually very confident at my work. And sometimes I'm talking to someone and I notice that they don't understand. They are feeling like bad for not understanding. And that on that moment, I think about myself and I'm like, okay, let me just. So I try to like explain it really slowly, being very caring. So I think is a resilience, not only for myself, but also with other people, like being very understanding. When I talk to a kid or something like that, I try to be like at the level of their eye, like speaking very slowly. Like, do you understand? Do you? So I think that's how, yeah, I think it's super resilient towards my life, but also resilience
Empathetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and working on the system, like
Yeah.
what it can do.
That makes sense. I mean, I think with ADHD or a lot of neurodivergence, right? We're, like you said, we're so used to, we know what it feels like to not feel good or to feel out of place or to feel lesser, smaller. And I think that's what makes so many people who are neurodivergent more empathetic, because you've been through that and you know you want to cater to people, make them feel comfortable in ways that maybe you weren't when you were younger, like you said. And that's really beautiful too, right? I think in a way that's also superpower.
Super.
Or what about you looking back on your life? Do you also think about how resilient you were? Do you see that?
I think I had to create ways of coping with life, because everything I think I always had some I was so sensitive to things that I think people were not that. I didn't see the world as see as I saw. So
Like you were sensitive to how
like,
other people were different from you.
like I think about, because of being so difficult things for me, I used to be more empathetic and see so many injustices.
Right. Yeah, you see more
Yeah,
around. You
so
notice things more.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Isa was saying. So I had to create a way to live with this sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way that makes more strong, I think. And I developed myself to be now working with this, like with injustice, and I think it all makes sense now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially looking at the work that both of you do, right? You work, you fight against depression, you work against injustice, you fight for oppressed groups, minorities, indigenous groups. So in a way, it seems like you've taken this empathy and this sense of resistance and turned it into your life's work also. Maybe both of you can talk a little bit about the work that you do, the activism that you do. It'd be great to hear about the really cool and important work that you're doing here.
I think the ADHD has a superpower yet, because the way I read the world, the way I look at the world, makes me everything more interesting. So I'm not always only focused on you talking to me. I'm focused on everything that's happening. I'm always, but this makes everything more. I want, because I'm a filmmaker, I want to film everything. I think everything is important. Everything is beautiful. Everything is brilliant, and everything is part of something big. So to tell a story, I want to talk about everything surrounding the person. So when I'm making a documentary, it's good for me that I had TDAH.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my work is with environmental NGOs, because I can hyper focus. I can be in very difficult places, and I don't feel difficult for me. So I'm
Like
just
the
happy.
Amazon, for example.
Like Amazon.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in the ships
Yeah.
that were together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it's this kind of adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, it makes me very present.
Extreme makes you very
It's the moment that I'm more present. This is how I work.
Yeah. Tell us about one project that you're working on now or worked on recently, just to give us an idea of what you work on.
Well, last year I was filming study, a video
A series?
series for international Greenpeace International, about the fires on Pantanal and Amazon. They like for 1 month shooting, and it was very hard because it was the dry season and everything was on fire. So we had to stay in very difficult situations. Like there was a moment that we were on the road that we got stuck by fires on all the sides. So we had to stay on the road for 1 day waiting for the fires to go away. And these places, that I think that it's a reason that it's important to be there, because it has to be told. I get very present, and this is the best moment for me. The moment that I feel like I'm alive, and I think I can do a good work when I'm in these moments.
I think for me, what's super interesting about people with ADHD, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is because because of our brains, we basically can only do things we're interested in, right? We are incapable of doing things that we're not passionate about.
Yes.
Which means we end up doing things we are passionate about, which is usually really interesting and led with heart and so much fire and love. So it makes for interesting lives. The way that people with ADHD have just figured out, okay, I know I can't do things that are boring. I can't. I'm physically incapable. What are the things that interest me? And you follow that path, and it always takes you somewhere interesting. Totally. What about you?
And that makes we be very good when we
Yes,
because
exactly.
it's what we are made for. We are passionate for this. We are 100% on this.
Yeah.
So it makes us very good on this and very bad on the
Yeah.
Everything else.
Yeah. You have to know what you're good at,
Yeah,
right?
we just have to find what we like.
Which takes time.
Yeah.
And we're lucky when we find it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you? Tell us about your work, the issues you work on, and how you think, if you think it relates back to the way your brain works, which we have talked about already. Yeah.
No, I totally think it makes sense because, I work with social justice in two ways. Like, I work with organizations, I work with philanthropy, I work in a Brazilian organization. So, of course, I think empathy was always leading me to, like, since I was 13, I actually was like, I'm a feminist. Since I was 13, all my family was like, what the fuck is that? I don't know what is that. Like, you're not wearing a burqa. That what my father said to me. You're not wearing a burqa. What are you saying? I was like, that's exactly what I'm saying. So it was always like, again, repeating myself, but I'm always like rebellious. So like moving forward to all the like good fights. For me, the good fights are very like interesting, but I'm also a designer, so like design to me is the way that I can understand information. Like every time that I move, like if you ask me like, oh, do like a tax on I don't know, environmental justice in Brazil, I'll start to design like information. I don't know how to just spread words without being like beautiful, aesthetic. So that's the way I move my head too. And I think that's the way how I work in organizations very like being in leadership of like my team and very, very institutionalized work. And then I have the design. So the design to me is like, how can I make everything that I'm like, I do all the designs for Fer's documentary, for example. So to me, it's like, is an activism and also like, how can I make this beautiful so people can look to it and understand it? And since I have difficulty understanding things, it actually helped me a lot to, so I have to make this easy and understandable. And I think my mind being having difficulties to understand, I think it actually was a superpower in a sense. Like, so I think to me, those are the two main things that like, how can I make social justice be my thing, is my mission, but I like my tools are really like having empathy, organizing informations, and it's very generic, but it's very about organizing information for people.
Communicating.
Yeah, communicating,
yes. In a way that different brains can understand.
Yes.
Can you talk about some of the issues that you work on? Like what are some recent projects or communities that you've worked with?
Like I work in a bunch of documentaries, doing like the designs, the visual ID. Now I'm working in a project that is about like culture and musical from all parts of Brazil. I'm doing this project now with like a producer company here in Brazil. But I also work in Procomum, that is the organization that I work. We deal with like citizen participation. So to me is like a brilliant thing. So we move forward like projects in climate and care and genre and race. And now
Healthcare
healthcare.
and gender
Yes.
and race. Mhm.
Yeah. Like the care economy, I think this is something that's
Mhm.
also very a big theme in Procomum. And now
What is the care economy?
care economy is
Yeah.
very interesting, very ADHD.
Yeah, what is the care economy?
Care economy is really about how are we not paying for people who care and really hold life in the world, really, like mothers and caregivers and everyone else. It's an economy that, if you think about it, is like the biggest economy in the world, basically, and it's not paid. It's not. It doesn't have a protagonism of like holding life. So it's a way about thinking economy in a different way. I think is a very interesting view. So Procomum works with that. We have a big project called La Cuida. It's a project that went to Uruguay and went to Colombia. So what we do basically is that we prototype ideas. So we gather a bunch of people, very diverse people, together and to like come up with ideas for a certain problem or issue. So La Cuida prototype 19 initiatives in Uruguay and Colombia now. And currently in Procomum, we actually have a climate network that works in Santos. So really coming, like developing a network of activists and artists and producers in Santos to look for like what is going on with the climate in Santos. So it's very local. But we also have a south to south network that gathers like lots of activists from the global south to really come up with ideas, and they go to events. So they have three ideas they are prototyping this year. We are going to COP with these ideas. So it's really
A lot of
about
yeah.
citizen participations and activist participation.
A lot of projects, a lot of issues, all very important.
All very
You're very busy.
important.
You're both very busy. I know that. So, what is it like, you think, to have two people, neurodivergent people with ADHD living in the same household? So, what are the challenges or benefits of having two people with ADHD live together?
I think we are very good together. Sometimes she forgets to clean the things that after lunch, but I'm good on this. But I don't like to put the clean clothes on the
Yeah, to put them away.
yeah. We help.
You're a good
together.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of empathy towards one another, I think. Yeah, we understand like one another a lot. But we do, I mean, we almost don't fight for like things that
Only for food.
only for food. I think,
Like about what to eat?
no, Fer is actually pissed off when I go to my parents' house and I don't bring food for her.
I always bring a lot of food.
Yeah. So I guess because you both understand that your brains work a certain way, you're not like, why didn't you do these chores then? You just
Yeah.
have a system that
I
works.
think we can be very weird, but we can understand too, because I have my things, she has her things.
Yeah.
But it's the way that she deal with
Yeah.
her problems, and she can see me dealing with mine too in my way. But she's very empathetic. She's very respectful, and she's always helping me. I think she's amazing to as an understandable person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the only like sometimes Fer makes a comment like, "Oh, you're leaving like the cheese. You're not putting the cheese on the fridge." And it's interesting because when I'm really stressed out, I get very personal. It gets very personal, and like I cry. It gets really dramatic when I. And then she gets super empathetic, like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." So that's my method. I cry. Yeah, but we are also very like I'm more into organizations, as I said it. Like making things tidy is like the thing for me. We had a huge fight about our o armário.
I don't remember.
Classic
This is a very
ADHD.
a good thing about my ADHD. It's that I forgive.
Yeah,
I forgive everybody because I don't remember anything that the people do to me.
I remember everything.
So you can
So,
be
like,
bad
yeah.
with me, like
Yeah.
like next week I will. Oh,
Yeah.
that's-
It can be good or bad, right?
No, when it's really bad, like
Right.
when it shows me some part of character,
Yeah.
like the
Who they are.
yeah, that I don't agree, like you are homophobic or racist, something that makes you
Against your values.
against values, then I won't forget this. But when is I can be very pathetic. Oh,
Right.
she's not a good day today.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can understand that she's pissed with me because of
I'm the opposite. I remember.
so I always forgive everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay for me.
No, but like Fer like gets her clothes off and like goes do this like leaves everything unorganized in her right in her cabinet.
Okay,
I accept.
So before that, we used to put like all our clothes like together, and then it was very uncomfortable for me because. Yeah, that's like design to me is like a way to deal with life. So I'm very organized with my clothes. I forget about them for 2 weeks in like in my sofa or something like that. But when I do it, I leave it very tidy,
Right.
like
Yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
tidy. So
How do you think ADHD plays into your relationship or your neurodivergence? Because I think it seems like it's quite common for two neurodivergent people to end up together, right? Which makes sense, right? But have you thought about that? How it works in your relationship? Like maybe, that's part of your chemistry, that's part of why you understand each other.
yeah, I think it's good for us because makes us very understandable. With like I can understand when it's not doing a good thing or making some choices that I
Choices,
would
yeah.
never do. I think it's important to have this empathetic way of thinking about people because you can be less aggressive and responsive. You can be always more understandable. Like, okay,
Yeah.
for me, it's a good thing for relations.
Yeah.
No, Fer is very. I've never dated anyone so understandable as Fer because she, like, I forget the worst part of my ADHD or something, is that I forget to like I get really late. Sometimes I
Yeah.
get very like, just like today. Today I woke up at 6:30, very like I'm gonna take a bath and la la la. So I go to an extreme to another. Like I
Yeah.
forget everything. I forget that I like.
She's very bad with time.
Yeah, timing
This
is
is
very
very-
bad for me.
This is a point.
I left her like waiting for me for like an hour or two, and even then she was very like nice to me. And like when we were starting to date, I was like, "Are you not mad? Like, super pissed off?" She was like, "Oh, I'm okay." What? So I was very surprised. I think we never thought about ADHD, I think, but I think we always knew that we were depressive depressed and anxious. So we were always very empathetic about like having
Just being different.
moments,
Yeah.
moments
Being
where you
human.
need to, yes.
Yeah. The last topic I want to talk about is earlier you mentioned now feeling more at peace with yourself. What does that mean to you to now feel more at peace with yourself?
I think it's to be more understandable with myself because I'm always with everybody else all my life, like, and very hard with myself, like, cobrando. How you say cobrando?
Mhm.
Asking more from me, wanting more. Like you should be better on this, and now I'm more in peace. That okay, I have some difficulties. Okay, this is not the where I am better, so I think the peace is about to to understand that you don't need to prove anything. You don't have to be good in everything, and this make you different. It's your identity. It's why it's important to be you in this world. So I think the diagnosis was good for me in a way that I could understand that there are ways of dealing that can make me focus on what I'm good and understandable in what I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, similar, when I was diagnosed, it was like, it was a journey, but I think it was instead of I spent my whole life fighting against myself, right? Like, I need to do this. If only I tried more. If only I worked harder. If only it's my fault that I'm late all the time. I mean, it still kind of is. But now I understand, it's just my brain. And I feel like it's almost like I've just learned to surrender a bit more, right? This is my brain. This is the way I work. That's just the way I am. Why don't I like go with the flow of who I am instead of trying to make it go away? It doesn't go naturally, right? And it's so much easier.
Yeah.
It turns out life can be easier if you don't fight yourself all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing that we have in common, that we cannot rest. We are always thinking, oh, we have to do this, and when we understand that maybe we can just rest and not trying to do everything perfect and try to prove to someone else that we are good in something, that we can just like be a normal person that doesn't have to be working all the time, can have some peace to just be.
Yeah, to just be. What a concept. Yeah. What about you? Do you think you're more at peace with yourself now?
Yeah, I think I'm valuing myself more. I think I have like like I normally I don't say like, oh, I love myself, but
That's hard.
it's hard,
Yeah.
super hard. I'm not like a super confident person. I know that I'm not, but I worked towards it. Like and now I have tools. Like I actually, it was interesting because I had two like wake up calls or something like that. My friend told me like, are you ADHD? I'm like, no. And but then later on, I met someone. He's actually a teacher I met him in my work, and he's a teacher, an English teacher, a very good one. And he had all those tools like, oh, I have like a cup with all pieces of paper, and then at the moment that I do something, like I have to do something so I can get that paper, and that paper has like a prize. And so I was like,
Oh.
this is very interesting. It's very teacher like
Yeah.
tools. And I was like, this is very interesting. So I think I'm very moved, and of course it has the ADHD, but I'm very moved towards satisfaction. Of course, everyone is, but I'm trying as much as I can to like praise myself, like, oh, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Normally I don't do it, but when I do it, I like, oh, this is a good method. This
Totally.
is good. This
Yeah.
is good.
That's neuroscience.
Yeah,
You're
super.
giving yourself a little dopamine boost.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And also like leaving social media, like understanding, like I take like a deep breath and I understand like, oh, is this good? Like I have a bunch of things to do. Do I need more things to watch or more information? So I get like, sometimes I get like 2 weeks straight without even seeing the news because it's too much. I have too much to deal. So it's really, as I was saying, I was like, it was always easy for me to have empathy towards the other person. And now I'm trying to like, have empathy towards yourself. Like, be calm and embrace yourself. you're doing a good job. And now I have like data to prove myself. Like, oh, I'm 35. Like I have my own home. I can pay my things. I can travel. I don't need my parents to do anything more. So I just give like a tap in my back and like, you're doing a good job. When I was like a teenager, I didn't have data to do it. I was like, I suck at everything. And now I'm like, I don't suck at everything. I suck at some things, but at some other things, I'm good. So I think that's like just the beauty of time passing. Time passing is very important. Just really
Getting older.
Yeah.
I think a thing that I learned too, it's because I need to be in this so very adrenaline
Yeah, totally.
places to feel presence. That the piece came to about learning how to find this other place, not only in dangerous place like my
Oh,
work.
that's that's a sensitive topic
we
for
want
me.
to- we
Yeah.
want to-
Because in our work,
Yeah.
we always be like in a fire,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
forest, or
War.
people with guns
Yeah.
toward us. It's when we are like totally 100%
moment.
in the moment. So I from years I started to feel this in other places, like on Muay Thai. That's what I'm doing now. So on the gym, doing a lot of strength efforts, and this start to make me feel presence in other places, not only in dangerous working. So this changed a lot the way that I put myself in work now, because I used to accept every job that it was in any kind of conditions, like with very difficult way to work.
No water, no electricity.
No water, no
Yeah.
electricity, and no food. I could stay one day entirely filming without food, and there was a moment that I started to have some breakdowns. Like,
Of course.
I think 2 years ago I came back from a fire documentary in the Amazon that I fainted. It's my and I think I have a faint on a seizure on the plane when I was back, and that's the moment I start to be very worried with my health in these conditions. Do I have to put myself in these situations to feel presence? So I start to be more focused on my health when I'm back of the works. I start to make a lot of gym, academia, and Muay Thai and box, and this start to make me feel more calm. I don't need to be always on this level of dangerous, and I can be calm in my routine, on my daily routine here in my home, not only on work. So I start to choose better my works and choose better myself and respect myself more.
I need to learn that. And going back to
You teach me this. You teach me.
Yeah, I'm glad. Fer and I actually met on a Greenpeace shoot. We were on a Greenpeace ship for a whole month. And Fer saw how, even on a ship, I was working out like every day. Because
was crazy.
otherwise I would go crazy on a ship, right? Like not seeing land for a month with the same people for a month. Like I needed to. And then,
I looked at her and she was always lifting some weights. And she's already strong. Why she's doing this every day?
So that I don't go crazy.
I don't kill everybody on the ship.
Yeah.
It's a good routine.
For sure. I mean, my life, right, working, covering war and protests and, playing rugby my whole life. And I realize now, like, oh, I can see why I was attracted to those things and why I needed those things and why there's, rugby especially was so good for me and exercise. But sometimes I'm also like, those things are not sustainable, right? You can't do those things all the time. Even rugby. I can't play rugby forever.
Be very tired about
Exactly, right? So I need to find now I'm trying to find new things. Like, what are ways to give myself the level of stimulation I need that don't just run me into the ground?
Totally.
I haven't figured it out yet. Exercise is big, right? But even exercise, it's easy to do too much.
Yeah.
So
This
figuring
is
that
the-
out.
And this is interesting because this was a huge challenge for us when we started dating, because I'm the opposite of it.
Yeah.
I'm super calm. I'm like, I actually, Phil
No,
and
it's
I
because
actually,
you use other kind of medicine.
no, but no,
To
but
be more calm.
but even before that, my anxiety is very like mellow, depressive, like calm. And fear was totally different. I think like we're dating for 7 years now. We actually balanced ourselves. I'm way more now. Fear is also it's constantly like, you're working too much. You're doing too much things. You're going everywhere. Don't you stop? And I'm like, I was telling you this like 7 years ago. Now
Yeah.
you get used to it. You know?
Yeah.
So I think this is different. For me, it was very strange. Like fear was constantly working, and
I used to wake up and let's ride a bike, let's do something.
I
And
love-
we just want, I just want to have breakfast.
and I love like breakfast, like a slow.
And I couldn't bear this. No, let's not eat breakfast. Let's get out of this
We don't
house.
need food or water.
Yeah.
She was so we would.
This is what was very
Yeah.
different.
It
for
was
us.
this was very different. So it's interesting how it works differently for people. Like I
Yeah.
was very calm, and now I think I'm in a non-natural state because I'm very
On the edge.
on the
Yeah.
edge all the time, and I'm like moving towards it. Like I want to work more. It's very, very strange. And fear is
I'm
moving.
coming
Yeah.
Yeah.
But life has seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life has seasons. Yeah. And then we'll find a new balance and who knows? Well, I think there's never a permanent state either,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find a balance and then you change or circumstances change.
Yeah.
Or just figuring it out constantly all the
Totally.
time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you learn from the others. I think I wasn't actually inspired for. I'm not saying that I'm like in a good moment right now, but I was inspired by Fer because she was constantly like doing things like it's like, oh, so I can be depressive and maybe like go to a park, not be like
I can be depressed and do things.
and it's like what? Try to not be depressed, not like being more depressed. So I think we can also learn from others, really.
Totally.
Not comparing yourself, but like learning from.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast. It's just like, wait, how does everyone else deal with their brains? Like, oh, like on one hand, you're like, I'm not alone. And the other hand, oh, everyone's different. And then finally, they've all figured out their own way of dealing with it. And what can I learn from that, right? This teacher, the idea with the cup with the rewards, I want to do that.
Yeah,
But I'll probably be too lazy to make that, right? And-
Totally. He's a teacher, so he likes it.
Yeah.
Some people needs the diagnose to understand, and
Yes.
some people doesn't want.
Yeah,
wants
totally.
to fight against.
Yeah, some people like meds, some people don't. Like
Yeah.
I took meds. I've been taking meds for like 2 years, almost every day. But the last, I don't know, 2 months, I've just sort of stopped. Maybe because I'm in a more natural state where I'm learning to like rest and be more in with my rhythm. So
You're working a little less.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. This meant so much to me, and I loved hearing more about your brains and your lives. And I really appreciate it. Thanks. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
For asking
João.
us.
All my friends have ADHD. All my friends have ADHD. All my friends have ADHD. All my friends have ADHD.